Please come to the podium, state your name, address, and speak loudly and clearly. Item number 1 today is approval of the agenda. And before we approve the agenda, I would like to make a motion to modify the agenda that we insert between item number 7 and number 8, citizens' concerns and commissioner concerns.
I'll second that.
All in favor, aye?
Aye.
Aye, passes 3-0. Okay, back to item number 1, approval of the agenda. I move that we approve the agenda.
Second.
All in favor, aye?
Aye.
Aye. Passes 3-0. All right, item number 2, approval of the minutes of the December 2nd, 2025 meeting.
Move approval.
Second.
All in favor, aye?
Aye.
Passes 3-0. Item number 3, approval of claims, and I would call on Shane Albrecht from Baker Group, please, to give us an overview.
Okay, so we have quite a list of claims again this time. The first claim is for Ron Wick for mileage for mediation, and that is for $226.24. The next one is from Frederickson for $24,309.08. The next bill from Frederickson is for $23,188.07. The next bill is from HKA Global, and that is for $712.50. If everybody remembers HKA Global, that's Larry Smith, which was one of our experts. That was their final bill for their final report for mediation. Next bill is from Resource Consulting Engineers, and that's for $22,277.50, and that's for project-related help that he did. The next bill from Resource Consulting Engineers is for $8,415. Next bill from CW Suter is for $29,760. Next bill from Baker Group is for $5,939.70. The next bill is from Baker Group for $13,354.65. If you'll notice, the first one was for the month of November. The $5,939.70 is for project-related stuff. The $13,359.65 was for all the litigation support and all that stuff. The last bill is from Thompson Electric Company for $11,730, and that's the final bill for the extra panel that we had to add in a storage closet. Total of all the bills is $139,912.74. Is there any questions?
Hey Shane, can you just remind me on CW Suter what that was for?
Yes, the CW Suter bill, sorry Dan, it was for PR 54. Their original quoted price was $41,000. We did that on a time and material basis, so there was actually a savings there.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions of Shane?
I move approval of the claims.
Second.
All in favor, aye?
Aye.
Passes 3-0. Item number 4 on the agenda today is update on the LEC financial report, and I would call on Mr. Ryan Erickson for that.
Ryan Erickson, Woodbury County Finance Director. Just wanted to update on the financials for the month of November.
Go Cyclones.
It was close. First half, we should have just ended, but on that point. Interest revenue for the taxable bond fund was nearly $18,000, expenses $96,000 paid out. So the ending fund balance for the taxable bonds is about $3,064,000. In the miscellaneous revenue fund, there were no interest posting, but about $1,100 of expenditures were paid out for an ending balance of $681,000. This month in November, the semi-annual interest was due on the bonds and the debt service bond. The rent from Woodbury County to the LEC Authority pays off 100% of the interest. And then $200,000 goes into the maintenance fund. So that is the revenue. You know, the debt service is just an in and an out, so there's a zero ending balance, but the maintenance fund had 200,000 added to it, plus the interest income of $3,300. So the maintenance fund is now at $1,835,000.
Any questions of Mr. Erickson?
None here.
None here. Thank you, sir. All right, item number 5 on the agenda today is an update on the LEC non-qualified use report. And again, I would call on Mr. Erickson for that, please.
Yeah, on a semi-annual basis, the lease requires a report for the non-qualified use, and the non-qualified use is on the taxable bonds. It cannot exceed 50% of the use of the facility, and the IRS deems that the, federal inmates is considered non-qualified use in this scenario. So I have a report here that shows the average population, the non-qualified population, and then the capacity of the jail. It just shows you that we are, if we looked at it by total population, we are running about 40-some%, but non-qualified of the whole capacity would be, 30%. And if we ever really had an issue, there's still a significant portion of the building, like the attorney's offices, that we could include in but this was how the lease was set up. So it just shows you that we are still under the 50% of the non-qualified use.
Very good. Any questions? Thank you, sir. Appreciate the report. All right, item number 6 on the agenda today is Building Services Facility Report, and I would call on Kenny Schmitz for that, please.
Kenny Schmitz, Building Services Director. I really don't have much to report today. As stated previously, I'm trying to get numbers to install a trash compactor out at the facility to address our trash quantities that have substantially increased. Still haven't received those numbers yet. I requested those last week, and at least one contractor replied that they had been out of the office and would try to get that to me sometime this week. Other than that, been discussing with Shane, EF14, who's been in contact with Corey Metzger about addressing the needs there. And I sent out an earlier email about a week, and I guess 2 weeks ago, about the heating and cooling in a couple of the stairwells that aren't adequate, that we're going to need to address in one way or another. So that's all I had. Thank you.
Any questions?
Thank you.
Thank you, Kenny. All right, item number 7 is an update on the LEC project, and I would call on Shane Albrecht from Baker Group, please.
All right, so for final completion, we still have 2 items out that have not been resolved. One is seeding, which won't happen until spring. The second one is test and balancing, as Kenny alluded to a little bit in his conversation. We've had some emails back and forth, and we're still working with CW Suter to get this accomplished. Corey, I've talked to him today. He was going to make a follow-up call to Ron Anderson with CW Suter on EF14, and I'm still waiting to hear back on that. Now, as far as other projects that we have going on out there that need to be addressed and finished, we have a hot water bypass valve that needs to be relocated. We have hot water and chilled water reset strategy that needs to be implemented. And we have the differential pressure sensors for the chilled water that need to be relocated. Those are our 3 projects that are still in the works. Those should be completed by the first of the year. Had a call from Andy Neerman with Star Controls just before the meeting. Said the parts for the hot water bypass valve and the chilled water stuff arrived on the 15th, so yesterday. And he had called Colton and they're getting that stuff scheduled. So Colton's with CW Suter to get the plumbing done. Thought it could be as early as this Thursday, but for sure it was gonna be next week. So I think those are all good things to get that all done. We had the air handlers tripped out. First Tuesday of the month is a generator test. When the generator went into test, the air handler tripped out. That will be looked at, and Kenny will have another test the first Tuesday in January. So we'll see if that's been resolved so it doesn't trip out again. There's some communication errors that Kenny pointed out where we're losing communications out there. He said they're happening a little more frequently, so that will be something that we'll also be looking at. There was supposed to be commissioning, so PR 54, which was the installation of exhaust fans 13 and 14, some humidity sensors in the courtrooms, and then PR 55, which basically can change the control strategy for AHU 3 as well as modify the control strategy for AHU 1 and 2. We got a quote for Cornerstone Commissioning to come back and recommission that work once this was all done. And talking with Corey and Kenny, we didn't think that was the best solution with all the time we spent on all these things. What we think is a better solution is to come back and do what's called retro commissioning about 6 to 8 months from now, so sometime this summer. And what retro commissioning is, if you think about it, when we made all these changes to the building, we established a baseline. So that's where everything is supposed to be at. And everything, through no fault of anybody's, people make little tweaks and changes to things. So if you look at your building's energy usage, it's a flat line like this when it started. But as you start changing it, your usage starts taking spikes to it. Retro commissioning is recommended to be done every 3 to 5 years. So my recommendation, after talking with Corey and Kenny, is that we do retro commissioning in like August to get everything put back to where it should be and get us a good baseline. And then I would recommend in the future, the authority does that every 5 years to reset the building back to where it's supposed to be. Because this is a highly complex building with all the different pieces. I'd like to call on Director Smits to come up and talk about this a little bit.
Yeah, as Shane said, we felt that at this time, it might be just a waste of time and money to finish out the initial commissioning that we had in place. You know, due to all the changes that we've made, it makes more sense to wait until we've got each and every one of those items fully addressed and fully changed, including the other items that Shane talked about that we're just going to finish up here in the next week or two. But all of the changes that we've made throughout this facility, and there's been a lot of them, in one way or another affected that original commissioning and the work that was done there. And it's not unusual to go back in any building and do a retro commissioning, like Shane said, in 3 to 7 years or whatever that might be, depending on the facility. So I think it makes very good sense to put that off a few months, make sure we've got everything done and a good baseline established for that retro commissioning then, and then again to come back in probably 2031 and do another retro commissioning financed by the maintenance fund. So, any questions on that?
About how much does that run? What is the cost to do that? Roughly.
Shane, unless you've got some figures on the retro commissioning, I don't have those, but it would be probably substantially less than the initial.
Yeah, so normally when you have them come back, it's in the $15,000 range. Depending on your building and everything, they'll look at it based on what components you're gonna look at, and they'll give you a number, and then you can work with them if there's pieces and parts of that aren't as important to you, and we will work with Corey to make sure we were getting all the right components.
Okay, all right. Thank you.
Yeah, and that's something that Corey really assists on. He'll drill down and tell you or tell us each one of the categories that he really wants that agent to take focus on.
Okay,
So if you remember, them coming in to commission the whole building was about $35,000 the first time for the 5 days that they were here.
okay.
So this would be substantially less time usually, but it could take a few more days, so that's why I gave you the number of 15. It's just trying to put that into perspective.
Okay, sounds good. Thank you.
So that's kind of the LEC update in a nutshell. There's been a little bit of work going on in the jury rooms, just trying to get some things replaced. Kenny's been on top of all that stuff. I don't have anything else unless anybody has any questions on the,
Any questions?
None?
Thank you, Shane. All right, next item is public concerns. Hearing none, commissioner concerns? None? Okay, we'll move on to item number 8, which is joint closed session with the Woodbury County Board of Supervisors and Frederickson and Byron Law Firm under Iowa Code Section 21.51C. I make a motion that we go into closed session.
Second?
Roll call vote, please.
Wick,
Aye.
Moore,
Aye.
Dietrich.
Aye.
Thank you, everyone.